Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome to Watch Chit Chat. This is a review of my Omega Seamaster Chronograph. Reference is 2225.80. So just take a quick look here. Now, most people that are into watches, I'm sure know quite a few things about this, but this review is more or less not just to tell you, anything you can read on the internet. This is more just to kind of give you a realistic perspective of what it's like to own. I've had this watch, got it when I graduated college, so I've had it now for probably about 8 years, and it really is it's a fantastic watch. At the time when I bought it, this watch was literally like the pinnacle of everything I wanted. It just had all the gadgetry that I enjoyed, and that's primarily why I bought it, because I thought it looked really cool. But I've always been, very into watches, so I do know a lot of the technical aspects about them. But we'll just keep this, this review pretty simple. Just a couple things. Obviously, it's the chronograph, so obviously it has your running seconds at 9 o'clock. You can see right here, pretty simple. And then you have your 30-minute counter up top at 12. Your 12-hour counter down here, and then obviously your date function. And you can, if you guys can see this, I can start the chronograph. Pushers on these are definitely much more firm than a lot of other chronographs that I've owned. I have an Alpina, which you can actually see the review on, a little bit easier to push in, which is funny because the Alpina actually uses another modified version of the ETA or Valjoux 7750. Now, I'm sure most of you know this actually has a pretty heavily modified version of the 7750 in it. Not to get crazy, Omega basically rips it apart, redoes the whole thing, finishing. I think they've added a few components into it as well. I'm not going to get really crazy into that though. And it has a helium escape valve over here. But yeah, the chronograph pushers are a little firm. Now, if you do pop over to the other video regarding the Alpina I have, the 12 hours of Sebring, that actually has, like I said, another version of the 7750 that's been modified a little bit different. It actually has a 24-hour hand. Obviously, this does not have a 24-hour hand. But one thing a lot of people know about this watch, and I'll just, call out the elephant in the room. The case is huge. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's a thick watch. If I put this on my wrist, and I actually have a relatively small wrist, you can see how much the case actually sits off my wrist. Now, I've worn this watch, not even kidding, I don't know how many vacations in the ocean, in lakes, everywhere. I've had salt water in the bezel. You just rinse it out under some cold water at the beach, and you twist the bezel, and it flushes out. And honestly, it hasn't missed a beat. I haven't had one issue with the watch at all. The only thing I wish that Omega would do is that it had some type of micro adjustment for the clasp, and I'll tell you why. So, you go to Florida, it's 95 degrees, and you're sweating. Your wrist swells pretty bad, and I tend to wear my watch, if you can actually see. I'll put it on again. It's not, there's not a ton of play in there. Like, I can barely get my pinky in there. And if I added another link, it'd be a little too loose. But a micro adjustment would be fantastic. So maybe down the road we'll all get lucky and Omega will decide to do that. So a beef about the bracelet, even though it does look amazing, especially it goes with my wedding ring really well. But anyways, a lot of Seamaster owners, I'm sure, can contest to this. Like the way these links are, it gets very, very smelly if you don't wash the watch often. So I don't know what the situation is with these specific types of links. Here's a diver's clasp, by the way. But yeah, something about these particular links, and I'll get in there for a close-up so you can see. Something about these links, man, they get really smelly. So I have it's almost like a fingernail brush, and I just put some hot water soap and I just like scrub the whole thing down. I even, this is gonna sound completely anal, but like you can see the inner part of the bezel in there. You can't, I'll like brush this part and then like twist the bezel a little bit and then brush that part and then twist the bezel a little bit more and keep brushing it to make sure that every little part around the outer part of the bezel gets cleaned. And it works really well to get like, you know, between the crown and the actual case itself. So I do recommend anyone looking to buy the Seamaster Chrono with this type of, you know, non-Planet Ocean with this type of bracelet. You're definitely gonna have to keep it clean, or it does get smelly, and you can actually even smell it like after you've been wearing your watch for a while on your wrist, which is actually kind of gross, but just to give you guys a heads up. There you can see the give me a second here, you can see the engraving on the back of the watch. They do a nice job. One cool thing with a 3M Brillo pad or 3M scrub pad, you can actually, under some warm water, refinish this yourself. I just recommend, you know, if you have a steady hand, keep the scuff straight, and literally will look brand new. You can actually do that to the brush part on the bracelet as well, as long as you use the appropriate tape to block off the parts that are polished. So obviously, you know, this is a chronometer. Everybody knows that. It says it on the dial. You can find it on the internet. It does keep very, very good time. So I actually haven't had it serviced yet. Which I probably should, and I will. I'll get around to it, but nonetheless, yeah, it's I don't think it's deviating more than +6 or minus 4 seconds, 0.4 seconds a day. I think it's actually less than that. I just checked it the other day. When I say I checked it, I'm also checking it in a non. Like I don't actually have the actual testing equipment, but I will go to like official US time and set my watch to the actual second and then keep track of it within a certain period of time to see how far it deviated. And that gives me a pretty good general sense, and honestly it really hasn't missed a beat in all the time that I've owned it. Bezel on this watch is actually amazing. You can hear it. And there's literally no wiggle in the bezel whatsoever, which for how much these cost, that would absolutely drive me bonkers if there was wiggle. As far as like taking a beating, one thing I do like about Rolex's 904L, 316 is definitely a little softer. It can nick and get dented pretty easily, actually. I don't know if you could see in the lug right here. Hold on. It's kind of hard to see it. It's like right in here. But there's a nick. I take pretty good care of this. And then there's some like little nicks and dents like along the outer bezel as well. But overall, it's in really good condition. But it can definitely, this metal is definitely a little bit softer than obviously 904. Which is, it's fine. I mean, I'm not like, you know, doing anything abrasive with this. I'm not, you know, working construction or something like that with this watch on. Other than that, I mean, it works flawlessly. If it's very comfortable. It's heavy. I mean, you have to like a heavy watch. I would never recommend this to someone that doesn't like something that is not heavy. I mean, it's definitely very weighty, and you get used to it though. I mean, I enjoy it. I like knowing it's there. Reminds me of, you know, how hard I worked for it, but nonetheless, you know, the helium escape valve too, which, let's be face it, it's like buying a car with 600 horsepower. You're really never going to use it, but it's really cool to know you have it. So yeah, I don't plan on going in a sub or doing any type of submersible diving where I have to worry about helium getting in my watch, but it's cool to know that it's there. Taking a look at the bezel, we went over the bezel. The dial has hour markers. They're obviously illuminated, but like some type of superluminova. I'm not specifically sure in this particular model what Omega used, and it's really cool. There's like little chrome accents actually around each individual hour marker, which really makes it look nice. The finishing touch of it just looks phenomenal. And there's actually like a nice chrome ring around each individual subdial too, which I actually thoroughly enjoy. But overall, ownership, love it, never get rid of it. Obviously, I'm looking at purchasing something else in the near future. Thinking about getting like one of those new Rolex Sea Dweller ceramics. Not the Deep Sea, the Sea Dweller. Deep Sea's, my gosh, I think the Deep Sea is actually thicker than this watch. But yeah, overall, I mean, the ownership of this has been great. Luckily, I bought this when they actually were down in price. I bought it literally right before a price hike, and then the actual authorized dealer I bought it from, Omega, actually pulled from there. So not only was it the last one out of the store, but I got it before a price hike. So it's just been phenomenal. If you guys have any questions about the watch, shoot a comment or leave something. I'd be more than happy to to answer any questions or see what you guys have to say. But yeah, this is the Omega Seamaster Chrono, reference 2225.80.